Welcome back. This is The Real Story, where we're going to take the time to give context to some of the events that'll go on during the 2016 race for the White House. Sometimes we'll have to travel back a few days, weeks, months, or maybe even years to find what's still relevant. And today we look at one of the biggest but most flexible features of the campaign season, the debates, just as the Republican campaigns are trying to take control over their discussions much more. The first political debate on television was between Massachusetts Senator John F. Kennedy and Vice President Richard Nixon back in 1960. In an example of just how powerful the visual medium was, people who heard the debate over the radio thought it was a draw or that Nixon had actually done better. But for TV audiences, most of them thought the younger and visibly more comfortable Kennedy outperformed the veteran politician Nixon. In the 55 years since, political science professor Tim Hagel at the University of Iowa says debates can be more or less important for certain campaigns depending on their specific candidate.
Where they can often be important is if they highlight some aspect of a particular candidate, either a strength, if the candidate has a good moment, so to speak, as we seem to be calling them, or has a bad moment.
In 1984, the United States saw a very funny and memorable good moment from Ronald Reagan. He was answering a question about his age, already being the oldest serving president in his 70s, compared to his Democratic challenger, Walter Mondale, who was about 20 years younger.
I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
It was funny, and in 2012, Americans saw an exchange with much less humor, but a similar effect for the sitting president at the time. President Obama and his Republican challenger, Mitt Romney, were asked about the recent attack on the U.S. compound in Benghazi that killed an American ambassador and 3 other Americans. While the president defended the way he handled the situation in the days after, he also attacked Romney and how he responded.
And the suggestion that anybody in my team, whether the Secretary of State, our UN ambassador, anybody on my team would play politics or mislead when we've lost 4 of our own, Governor, is offensive. That's not what we do. That's not what I do as president. That's not what I do as commander-in-chief.
Moments have even happened earlier in this campaign cycle. The 2 Republican hopefuls from Florida had a testy exchange when former Florida Governor Jeb Bush tried to lecture Senator Marco Rubio about missing Senate votes to stay on the campaign trail.
He's a gifted politician. But Marco, when you signed up for this was a 6-year term. And you should be showing up to work. I mean, literally, the Senate, what is it, like a French work week? You get like 3 days where you have to show up?
The only reason why you're doing it now is because we're running for the same position, and someone has convinced you that attacking me is going to help you.
Through the years, the debate format has stayed relatively similar from one election cycle to the next. But now the debates are the closest they've come in a while to changing drastically. After the GOP debate on CNBC, the Republican Party wasn't happy with letting hosting organizations take that much control. That feeling comes from exchanges like this one with New Jersey Governor Chris Christie.
What should we do?
What we should do is to be investing in all types of energy, John. All types of energy. And I've laid out...
Meaning government?
No, John. John, do you want me to answer or you want to answer? How are we going to do this? Because I got to tell you the truth. Even in New Jersey, what you're doing is called rude.
Days after that debate, RNC Chairman Reince Priebus severed the relationship between NBC and the Republican National Committee, and many of the campaigns sent representatives to their own private meeting to figure out what they were going to do next. They're working on a united front so that they have negotiating power with whoever the debate host might be in the future.
What we're doing is asking those sanctioned broadcast partners to give us some information so we can talk with them and decide what the format is, whether that's acceptable for the individual campaigns.
The latest letter crafted by those campaigns has a wide variety of demands, but the biggest ones are a 30-second opening and closing statement and an equal number of questions for each candidate, even if they don't get an equal amount of time to answer them. Right now, they're talking to the networks, but working with companies like YouTube or Yahoo or others to create a debate structure that is different from the traditional style has been floated too.
You have to explore these new avenues, but you can't abandon the old ones. That's really usually more a matter of adding to your repertoire of ways of reaching the voters in various aspects.
Hagel says he doesn't think too much will change this cycle, especially since it would be hard for those alternative kind of debates to get the 14 to 24 million viewers that the debates get on TV right now. But with more people turning to their smartphones, tablets, and laptops for news and information, it might make more sense in the not-so-distant future. Coming up next on Iowa in Focus, the name-calling during tense exchanges on Twitter between two big Republican names.